Right, so now I'll hand over to lovely Roz, who's come to share on step 8 for us. So thank you, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking me. Sorry I'm late. I've been up and down this road about 3 times, and the sat-nav took me to the end of the roundabout and ran the left somewhere because I just put in the postcode. Anyway, I'm here now, so just felt I was flapping about. Straight to the toilet, had a pray, please God help me. Help me to calm down and remove my ego and... just help me to carry a message. Step 8, and this is what I really find hard, like sticking to the step 8. I'm Roz, I'm an addict. I swear, I cry, but I also laugh too, so that's my disclaimer. Step 8, I done one at the convention, at the UK convention, the step 8, and when I was there, when I come off, I thought, was that a step 8? I don't know, was it? It's like one of them ones, and... and for me, it's like, I know it says in that, for me, it's hard to pull apart, because for me, an 8 and 9 is so entwined. And I know it said there, I suppose when I first come round, do the step 8 without thinking about the 9. But now, as I've been around a few years, as soon as I do a 4, I think, I can't make amends, do you know what I mean? So I'm preempting it already, basically. But so I suppose I'll sort of go back to the first... step 8, and see what we come up with. But I remember, I came into the fellowship. A friend of mine took me to the fellowship. I had a husband in prison for armed robbery, 2 kids, and I was addicted to anything that hyped me up, made me, coke, crack, everything else. Didn't like being on the down. I was like scared I was missing out on something, I think, I don't know. But apart from that, I was addicted to anything, and I always took more of whatever. So I came into recovery, and I remember people talking about these steps and the step 4, and I remember starting the process with my first sponsor, and this husband of mine was really, really violent, like extremely violent. And I remember when I'd done that step 4, which I knew was, was going to... I was talking about him, and I remember, because I was really aware that the 8, for some reason, I don't know why, I must have heard it in a meeting, and I remember putting his name down, and I put Bob, and I put no fucking way. I actually wrote that on there, you know what I mean? And my sponsor would just become willing. I was like, nah, love. Do you know what I mean? I was like, he done this to me, done that to me, stabbed me, all of that, you know what I mean? And all of that was true. But the way this process works, I think sometimes I've been dragged back by the scruff of the neck despite myself and what I wanted to do and my behaviours and my actions, and anyway, so I reluctantly put him in. The other one was my dad. I put my dad down because I hated him. Both Italian, my mum and dad, and like really strict, and it's like, I'm the governor, what I say does, and I left home and married 100 times worse, basically, like the husband. So and the reason I mention them two as well, it's like that's sort of first step 8 right in the list, and my children as well, my 2 daughters. One of them I used to hit, and every time I say that, you know what I mean, I want to cut my tongue out. It's just like that mother, and, I used to hit her, and the other one I didn't, and... So the reason I mention the 2 men first, it's like I can't talk about the steps or whatever for me personally without some experience of how my higher power works for me. Do you know what I mean? And like, I've just got through cancer the last year, you know what I mean? And when I look back at that, I thought I can't talk about all that or the no matter what club and all the rest of it without showing the experience of how I've been dragged back by the neck, how my, higher powers work. So... right in that step 8, the first one, and anyway, so cut to about 9 years after, and it's not like you run around, for me, it's not like I was running around to everyone thinking, like, oh, I've got to make an amends, and all the rest of it, because also run it through your sponsor, because I remember that first step 8, and I had a list, and I put Matt down, who was my boyfriend, hostage, that when my husband was coming out of prison, decided to take a hostage at 2 years clean, you'll come to Bournemouth for me, darling, And anyway, this poor man hostage. And I look back now and I say that, but it's just like, I look back and I think, right, everyone's in my life for a reason. What was his? And mine definitely 100% was I would have gone back to my husband, for sure. absolutely for sure. I was terrified of him, and as mad as that sounds, I definitely would have gone back. So, the step 8, I don't know, I feel like anyway, it is what it is. So, when at 9 years clean, my daughter rung up. Anyway, he had cancer. He come out of prison. I left him. He had cancer, and I instantly forgave him. Like, it wasn't, it was just a feeling of, it wasn't like, oh God, because I know if I go around there, he'd probably try and kill me. He was driving down to Bournemouth to come and get me. You know what I mean? So. Bit of a psychopath, you say. So, mine was an actual feeling. I thought, oh God, I just thought, like, I found recovery. He never did, So, and I remember my daughter ringing me up when the funeral was on, and when the funeral was on, it was about a week's time, and she goes, Mum, can you bring me some clothes down? I went, yeah, of course. And she said, I said, when's the funeral? And she goes, next Thursday. And I just burst out laughing. She went, what's funny? Like that. She went, what's funny? And I went, it's my birthday next Thursday. So, like, my ex-husband was getting buried on my belly button birthday, and I just thought, you can't make that up, It's almost like that little karmic twist, you know what I mean? And also I thought he'd be up there going, you're never going to forget me on your birthday, are you? Anyway, and that happened, and, roll the tape forward to when my dad passed, I was the only one looking after him. This man, I used to hate him so, because he was really strict, never let me out, do you know what I mean? And all the rest of it. I was fucking telling this bank robber that I'd fucking first met that, oh no, I can't go out, or some excuse. It weren't, my dad never let me out all night, but I couldn't tell him that, do you know what I mean? It was mad, scenario, and my dad, I remember when I was younger, and I used to think, I hate him so much, I'm going to just push him down the hill, right, when he's older, put him in a wheelchair, push him down the hill, I can't bear him, I hated him, And the amends process, he got cancer, and I was the only one looking after him, and, taking care of him, and he died, and when he died, my brother flew from Sydney, Australia, and my cousins come over from Italy as well, and we went to the funeral parlour, and this woman was there, and she was going, oh, we can't for another month. I said, you can't. I said, my brother's come over from Australia, and me other lot are from, my cousins have come from Italy, and she went, we've got one day, and I went, what is it? And she went, the 11th of May. It's my clean time birthday. So the two prominent men, and this is what I'm saying about high power moment, whatever the two prominent men in my life was one, like my ex-husband was on my belly button birthday, and my dad was born on my clean time. You can't make that up, you know what I mean? Out of all the days in the year, how can you, So I look back sometimes and I think, okay, but what I'm saying, the step 8 happens when it happened, The other one is like, for me, I think step 8 is how I changed, and like my daughters, the one I said I hit, and we just butt heads and all the rest of it, and I've made my amends to both of them. And then over the years, I remember thinking, like, when she has a child, she will know, like, I think the circle will close, and I remember being in Broadstairs in Kent, and my cousin lived down there, and I'd be on the pipe, and I'd leave him in the Airbnb, and I'd be driving back round to Holloway Road. Do you know what I mean? To go and get some more crack and driving back, and I'm fucking lighting my cousin's pipe up, and it was a little, medicine bottle, a little brand, a little bit, and I'm lighting her pipe up, she's driving up as we're going back to, and I look at things like that, and I just think, anything could happen to them kids, you know what I mean? I didn't give a shit, so they was on there as well, and and that's my process as well with her. I'm a better grandmother than I am. I'm sort of reparenting, like, through my granddaughter, and I love her, and the thought of hurting her just fills me with, ugh. I just couldn't even think of it, and we have this little connection, me and her, and when I had the cancer and I went bald, and I was really scared. I thought she's going to be really scared of me, like, I'm bald, I took that decision myself, because my hair was coming out, and I just thought, fuck you, cancer, I'm fucking shaving it off. So I shaved it off completely. I bought 2 wigs, never wore them. I was just hacking this look with the bald head, and I went, oh, let's just let Cece see me. I don't want her to be scared. And she'd come on, and there's definitely a little, I keep saying I'm a witchy poo, and so is she, we're a little witchy poo, us two. And she come onto the phone, onto the FaceTime, and she looked at me, she goes, Nanny, and I said, look, I've got bald head like Daddy, because her dad like shows, and she went, did you do it in the shower? And I went, yeah, because I know, like, obviously picking up that her dad must have, I went, yeah, I did, I've done it in the shower. What do you think? What's it look like? She goes, it looks nice. And I can see her smiling like that. It's only 3, right? 3 going on 33. And then 2 minutes later, she went, Nanny, now if she falls over or she's got a, you know, she does her knee or whatever, she goes, Nanny, I've got paw. So I have to kiss it better. So I go, all right, paw, kiss it better. She went, Nanny. I go, yeah. She goes, can I ask you something? I went, yeah. She went, and she looked straight in the camera. She went, have you got paw? So almost like she knew, like, you know what I mean, when I was going through chemotherapy and everything, I was like, oh, wow, you know, and this little connection I've got with her, you know, it's just, you know, things like, you know, I went on holiday, a friend of mine has literally given me the keys to his house in Spain. I went there for a month after chemo. This is all from people in recovery, you know, that looked after me, and I remember going there, and I took her for the first week, and my other 2 daughters come as well, and I just done these little things where I went to the shop and I bought all gold coins and little rings and little bracelets, and I went, we're going to Nanny's beach now, and I go, what, when all the pirates are on there? She went, are they? I went, yeah. I said, dig up, and she started digging up and found all these little coins, and like, and her face, you know what I mean? I've never done that with my kids. I've never done that with my kids, you know what I mean? And I think that is, for me, the change. You know, that's the change for me that shows me in that step 8 how I've changed. The other thing, you know, like, there's, you know, like that step 8 for me as well. I've got to put myself in top of that list. I wouldn't even probably have gone to, I had to go back not long ago and just check out my liver because there was spots on the liver, and I thought, oh, fuck me, I've got liver cancer, blah, blah, blah. I probably wouldn't even, well, I wouldn't have gone. You know what I mean? If I was using, I'd have gone. I'd been too scared. I mean, fuck that. I'm not going. Do you know what I mean? But putting myself on that list and looking after myself and my health and everything else, I've got to do that. Otherwise, you know, it's fucking, I need to forgive myself as well, you know, and I can use all of those other things, like, you know, to sort of not beat myself up, but just to have a go at myself. Do you know what I mean? And so I try not to do that as well. And then, you know, about listening to the sponsor on my first one, I never remember the first one when this, you know, my ex-boyfriend, the hostage that I took away, to Bournemouth, and I was like, I wasn't a very good girlfriend, was I? Not running it past my sponsor, do you know what I mean? And then meeting up with them, going, sitting in the car with them and going like, I wasn't really a good girlfriend, was I, like that? And he's going, you weren't too bad. And looking at him going, I just want to shake you. That's what was going through my head, like, that's why I'm here, there's a bit wrong with it, you know what I mean? And then ringing my sponsor up a week later going, I've had sex with the ex, do you know what I mean? In pieces, do you know what I mean? So, run it by your sponsor is what I'm saying, do you know what I mean? And all those experiences is what I'm saying, I've been dragged back by the scruff of the neck, do you know what I mean? I make mistakes, it's fine, we're human, you know, and it's just like, oh God. And I think especially getting this cancer diagnosis, it's like, I really don't give a fuck as much. Do you know, like, in the thing of, like, am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong? Like, who gives a shit? Like, we're human. You know, I'm trying not to be malicious, you know, like, my home group's the over 8s, you know, and that was like, when I was really ill, I was only going there once a week, and, like, just everyone come round, and, you know, and I think people paid my credit card, people paid for me to clean up because I knew how house, you know, proud I am. People picked me up, took me to meetings, you know, and I just think all of that is as a result of doing all of this, you know what I mean? And, like, things pop up and I just think, no. And my sponsor goes, no, you've put all that love out and you're now getting it back, you know, and that love is, that 8 and 9 for me is like, you know, fucking just pouring that love out and going, look, I've just got to make a list of, like, who I've basically been a prat to and, you know, make the amends, Ross, turn it in, you know. So, you know, I'm well aware that when I've got resentment, you know, that I will eventually have to do the 8 and 9. I'm well aware of it. You know, and I'm all right with that. I'm not one of them can pray, you know, like, let the resentment be taken away straight on. No. But I come round in the end. Like, I do, I come round in the end. You know, and there's no wrong way, there's no right way. Time's a healer, you know, and as long as I'm not, you know, like, in all our affairs, as long as I'm not. And also that step 10 says, you know what I mean, when I was wrong, I've jumped now to 10. When I was wrong, you know, promptly admitted it, I'm not always wrong. I'm not always wrong, and I really found out that more with this cancer diagnosis, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to go into that because I'm going to be talking about step 4. But anyway, I think, am I done now? I think...
you can be.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Just, you know, it's just like... I'm here. I'm here another day. I help people, you know, and even when I had that, you know, the chemotherapy, bald, no energy, I was so ill with it. I had 2 sponsees come round. I still try to do that. You know, one come round and done a step 2. The other one I had to cancel her 4 times. She come round and done a step 3. And what they don't realise is like I'm doing my step 2 and my 3 with them as I'm hearing them. So. Yeah, just, what I'm trying to say is, well, don't be scared of it, you know, like the ex-husband and all that. And I think that was through fear when I just put, like, you know, fuck you, like on the thing. You know, it's just all through fear. And the Serenity Prayer for me means everything because it's the courage to change, you know. So, and for me, that's the courage to change is step 8. I'll leave it there.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for that.